Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to another Pallavi Market Research video. Today, I'm going to be discussing and describing game theory because game theory is something that has infected and or integrated with our entire socioeconomic system. It affects how we model our entire economy. It affects our foreign policy. Because what's so interesting about game theory is that game theory did not become relevant until the nuclear bomb was invented, as crazy as that sounds. Before the nuclear bomb, there was basically no sophistication or no academic, like it wasn't considered an academic field, game theory. It was very nascent and, you know, it was not developed at all, especially in the realm of academia. But that really, really, really changed during the Cold War, essentially, during the early years of the Cold War. And game theory has, through characters like Henry Kissinger, became absolutely integral to, like I said, foreign policy and to how we measure and define our markets. Okay. So, game theory, just to give you a solid definition, is a discipline that provides various mathematical models for analyzing strategic interactions between rational actors. These models are designed to decode the nuances of situations where each participant's outcome is intricately tied to the collective choices of everyone involved. This encompasses a broad spectrum of scenarios characterized by cooperation, competition, or a blend of both. So, like we were talking about in our probabilities video, this is essentially a framework for predicting, uh, you know, a set of probabilities based off of certain assumptions about what a firm's or a person's goal is, right? Assuming they're a rational actor, which is somewhat of a big assumption, and that you aren't dealing with a terrorist like Joker, like, the character, the Joker, right? So that's where all these models completely fall apart. So the very, very, very first mathematically proven model in game theory is something called Cournot's model. Okay. It's a description of a duopoly, aka a market condition where only two producers exist. Cournot describes that every decision a firm makes is directly influenced by the actions of its competitor. So we are trying to optimize for this number three here, right? This three. And this three describes a small town basically with two bakeries. Let's just use that example, okay? And they sell identical loaves of bread. Because we are in a town, the total demand for the bread is fixed, right? Because the town only has so many people, and only so many people in that town eat bread. This means that the bread can be sold, though the price of the bread can be sold decreases as the total quantity of bread supplied by both bakers increases as a result of the market becoming more saturated. The equilibrium, this three I was pointing out earlier, is then reached when both bakeries choose their output levels such that neither has an incentive to adjust their production based off the production level of the other firm, other business, right? So what that all means is if Bakery A realizes it can maximize its profits by producing 40 loaves per day, assuming Bakery B produces 50 loaves a day, then Bakery B will also find it profitable to generate 50 loaves, right? So this is the market equilibrium where each firm in a duopoly, right? Basically, a monopoly with basically two monopolies in one market, right? Are able to optimize their profits by like understanding what the other is going to produce. Okay. Now, this one's a little bit more simple. This is John von Neumann's minimax theorem. And this is a very important one, especially in the context of nuclear strategy. This describes a strategic decision making process in zero sum games. A zero sum game being where one participant's gain is exactly balanced by the losses of the other participant, right? So if I am person A and you are person B, if we both engage in strategy 2, right, we're going to have our best outcome. But if I engage in strategy 1 and you engage in strategy 1, then we're going to have bad outcomes, and same with this section and this section, right? So this is basically understanding that when two market participants, or when two adversaries are interacting in this manner in a zero-sum game, there are defined best choices that for each party, right? Because if each party are doing contradicting things, then they're both going to lose, or they're going to be under optimizing what they could be doing in the market. Okay, this is the most famous one. You may be seen this movie, The Beautiful Mind. This is Nash's equilibrium. Okay, it is also described as the prisoner's dilemma. And it's pretty simple. Okay, so it's like a game with multiple players where everyone picks a strategy, but it's you're trying to find this sweet spot, right? It's an equilibrium. So you can kind of think about it as, if nobody messes up, this is the best way things can play out. It's that kind of scenario, right? So it's nicely described in these two examples. There's prisoner A, prisoner B. If they both confess, they both go to jail for 10 years. If they both keep quiet, they both go to jail for 1 year. But if one confesses and another, if one confesses and the other stays quiet, prisoner A gets life in prison while B goes free. And then prisoner B gets life in prison, A goes free, right? Same thing with advertising, right? So if both companies advertise, they're both going to be getting a benefit. And if neither of them advertise, neither are going to get a benefit. And if one advertises and the other doesn't, one's going to get a hell of a lot more of a benefit than the other. So this can also be described with dating, right? Or like just being at a bar and talking to girls. If you see a girl, right? And this is actually, I think, an example that they use in the movie, now that I think about it. If you see pretty girl and you see no one going up to them, right? This is the 0-0, right? This is you understand that there's nothing actually happening here, right? So you're like, okay, well, I can get full market share of this opportunity just because no one's even trying to participate, right? But the second someone else does, your odds are getting cut in half. You see what I'm saying? So you want to be in these spots, especially in the context of dating or cold approaching, whatever the hell. Not that well, that's not what we talk about in this channel. Even though that would be fun if this just became a dating advice channel. That'd be fun. All right, guys, that's game theory. I hope that's helpful and not just confusing as shit.